Hello, everybody. This is Buddy here in Midland. I've got a interesting video I want to make, and about a Facebook post I posted last night, and I want to show you that. This is on my Facebook. It's under Buddy Wayne Webb, and the all the comment from the day was a daily YouTube comment, and this is interesting too. Is actually from a YouTube comment that I saw this morning, and this woman was saying, "You're definitely onto something big. I had similar things happen in Tyler in 2011. Boyfriend suspiciously died there." I'm not going to read the whole thing to you, but what I thought was interesting here is there was a time we had called the police because we kept hearing somebody in the attic, and I looked through a hole in the roof of our hot water heater and saw a man's shoulder and white t-shirt. And of course they were called crazy, and then he ends up dead suspiciously. And so I feel sorry for that woman. I'm telling her, yeah, it sounds a lot like what's going on here in Midland, Odessa, and I've documented people all over Midland, Odessa, probably a dozen homes just here in Midland, Odessa, addresses, police scanner calls, etc. People reporting people in the attic. I saw a person in my attic. I was shot with burglar alarms going off in my attic, and so I mean, it's not a bug, and it's not a mouse, and it's not a ghost. They're rigging private homes is what they're doing, and it's widespread racketeering and crime, and it's going on all over the place. California, Oregon, Arizona, Arkansas, New Mexico, and even a woman in Alabama contacted me, and so anyway, but that's not what this video about. This video is rape and murder, okay? And I one of my probably most watched ever videos on YouTube is called Rape and Murder. I'm gonna probably name this one Rape and Murder 2020, because we're gonna go back and we're gonna look at it. But here on this Facebook post, here's what I wrote. I said, as you can see in the print screen below, I posted this picture of a then secret police and this story to my Facebook on December 13th, 2014. 2 days later, the guy in the picture murdered his wife and then killed himself. Of course, the secret police didn't get it identified for another 4 years. Okay, so the rape and murder story, and that's what I copied and pasted below it. This is the story that was posted on December 13th, 2014. Before I realized people were breaking in my Midland, Texas home, I was dating this woman, and that's the story of the girl being murdered at the 2010 oil show party. And I believe it happened. I tell where I was talking to her on the phone as she was driving, so I knew it was within 5 minutes of my home, and a whole bunch of details in there. I think it'd help if legitimate law enforcement solved, these crimes. And then, of course, we found out in 2013 the remains of a young girl were found, and she's the one that told me about that young girl that heard her crying because she didn't want to prostitute and didn't wake up. They were drugging them women each night at 11 o'clock. I'm not going to read this whole story. It's already on my YouTube. I can put a link there later. But that's the rape and murder story that was posted. And there was that video that had just tens of thousands of views, rape and murder. That was the older one. But here's the print screen, and Facebook allows you to go back on the timeline. You can go back in time and go, what did Buddy post on December 13th, 2014? And this is still there. I mean, you can go back. There is absolutely no doubt I posted this story on December 13th, 2014, and I posted this picture. That was one of the secret police pictures. The police in my home on the night that I was shot had accidentally started my camera while trying to disable it. We know that from the camera log files. And then it was taking pictures and they didn't know it. And then they were seen planting evidence, stealing evidence, staging the crime scene, and they had withheld the police report. That's what caused the secret police, because they withheld the police report. They never planned on getting caught, And the only reason that, it would be a whole different story if they hadn't accidentally started that camera. But this was one of the pictures, and this one had a guy wearing a Midland K9 Police Jacket. I had already noticed that, but we didn't know who it was. I mean, they were secret for 6 years. I had to save up disability money and offer a $2,000 reward. And then here's the story, rape and murder. Before I realized people were breaking my Midland, Texas home, and I tell this story like I'm saying, here a minute ago, okay? And, here's a part at 11 p.m. every night, she would have to go take a pill, which would make her sleepy when we'd get off the phone around midnight. My understanding is she would then fall asleep and be woken up by men a little bit later. Okay, that's inside the story. That's what was happening to these women. And they had a choice, It was to do this or die, and I tried to get her to report this murder to the police, and she was afraid and told me high-level police were there. I couldn't even imagine at the time. I'd be afraid to not report a murder, but I just couldn't. It's real clear now. The police corruption is, reporting crimes to police that are involved in the crimes is extremely dangerous. And then that's what I did here, at my home. I'm the good citizen reporting burglaries to my home. And, and next thing I know, I'm crippled for life, don't have a job, living under the threat of death, lies being spread about me. And what I do, I moved here with hope and excitement, spent my life savings on the American dream, and I reported crime like a good citizen. The problem here is police corruption, public corruption. Here's my first comment. Okay, as seen here on December 15, 2013, 2 days after I posted the rape and murder story to my Facebook, I emailed it to then Texas Governor Rick Perry, then Attorney General, and now Governor Greg Abbott, and the Texas Rangers. Later that day, secret police and Midland K9 police officer Chad Simpson was alleged to have murdered his wife and then killed himself. Okay, and so here is a print screen of the email that I sent to Governor Rick Perry, Attorney General Greg Abbott, who's governor now, and there's a timestamp. Okay, so we know it's on December 15th. Remember, I posted this same story, rape and murder, before I realized people were breaking into my Midland, Texas home. The same exact story was posted on my Facebook 2 days before, December 13th, and then December 15th, I emailed it to the governor and the Attorney General, and then here, this day is when Chad alleged to have murdered his wife and killed himself. Okay, and so you'd think that would be a big news story, but that there's one of the major problems we got is our press is a party to help covering up crimes and murders, and that that's just a fact. That is the problem, and that's what I've been up against. Interestingly, President Trump chose Rick Perry, the former governor of Texas, as Secretary of Energy. But Perry resigned along with Secretary of Homeland Security in October 2019, last year, 3 months after I made a video of concrete being poured behind Home Depot, where I had showed Homeland Security agents the location that I believed a tunnel was located going to an underground home in my backyard and my house. This is where it's believed the famous oil show parties were held and where that young girl was murdered in 2010. That's what the rape and murder story was about. Remember, my friend was drove there in 5 minutes, and I believe that's where she was, where she was at in these underground homes. And what I'm showing here, these are timestamps from news stories. Okay, October 11th, 2019. Kevin McClellan resigns, Homeland Security. Okay, October 17th. 6 days later, Energy Secretary Rick Perry resigns. Ain't nobody sat there and made no big story out of that. They both resigned within a week, and this is 3 months after I had pictures of concrete being poured where I showed Homeland. I'm going to show you that here in a minute. I provided this Google historical map to Homeland, and I showed them in person where I believe the tunnel was located at. Okay, and so this was provided to Homeland Security, and it's been posted on the internet many times. And here's what I'm showing you. Go to Google Maps historical maps, because this is an older picture in 2011, right, it's about 6 months before I was ambushed and shot. Here's my home. That's where the last homeowner believed he was killed right before the week before the 2008 oil show party started. Okay, I'm ambushed and shot right here by somebody under my home. Burglar alarms on my attic, and that was in January 2012. Mike Lawhon, the previous owner, died in October 2008. Okay, now we believe underground facilities here in this backyard area right here, one of the 4 3-bedroom underground homes. But when you look at the asphalt here behind Home Depot, it was real clear that the ground was cut. See the different color right there? And it looks like also over here it's been cut. Okay, and so I'm like, oh, that goes right directly towards my house. And that's what I'm thinking. Well, but I bet my friend drove around to the front of Home Depot, went underground, and come over here and was here, and that's the people at the party. And I had somebody at Home Depot tell me one time, a clerk says if you happen to see a lot of cars in the parking lot late at night, it's because we're stalking. You know, and then I didn't ask that, I didn't think about it, whatever. But people, you know, an oil show party would have a lot of people. They would need a lot of parking, and they would need an excuse, you know. And that sounds like the excuse that was being used. Oh, if you happen to see a lot of cars in the parking lot late at night, it's because we're stalking, you know. And I bet my friend's car was parked there. That's where she drove and went. Okay, long suspected that. Okay. And then my next post, multiple people are now documenting saying that tunnels and $1 million underground homes are here, including a recent candidate for sheriff that said that our last sheriff used to hang out down there, Painter. This is where I believe the oil show parties were held and where that young girl was murdered at. And, you know, and keep in mind, we're talking about multiple